Welcome to QuiltCam, everybody. I'm Bonnie Hunter, and we are streaming live from the cabin at Quilt Villa in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Western North Carolina. This is the first time that I am trying Facebook Live for QuiltCam from the cabin. Hopefully, it's working for you. I'm actually doing some refreshing here to see if we are up on the page, and yes, I can see we are. I'm just thrilled. So welcome to the cabin. We've tried QuiltCam here in the past when we were streaming it live from Google Plus into YouTube, and my poor little internet was just not strong enough to really give it a good feed. So since this is streaming from my tablet over Wi-Fi, and hopefully in the last couple of years the Wi-Fi situation has improved here, I am happy to give this a shot. Notice that this is only a trial. We're going to try to do the best that we can to hopefully be able to make QuiltCam at the cabin a part of our fun here in Quiltville. If it doesn't work, well, at least we tried. If this is your very first time watching live or catching this after the fact, I want to welcome you. QuiltCam is not a tutorial. It's not a workshop or a course or a class. It is where I spend my time working on my project with you while you are working on yours. So what I'm working on today is some string blocks. And I'm going to scroll my page so that I can see what your screen view is. I want to be sure you can see what we've got going on here. Yes, I think you can. So I am working on some little neutral string blocks. I actually started this pile yesterday afternoon when my friend Mona was over. She was supposed to come sew with me this afternoon. She sent a text message. She's feeling a little under the weather and she doesn't want to pollute me, so she's going to stay home. So I thought, well, shoot, we'll just try QuiltCam instead, since I'm all ready to keep stitching on these. They don't look like much right now. But if you check out the back side, you'll see that there's a square of phone book paper on here. I use phone book pages as my foundation because they are crisp. The paper tears off very easy. It's lightweight, and I can get that extra foundation out of there when it's time to assemble these into blocks and into the quilt. I really don't like extra bulk into my seam allowances, so I don't use a leave-in foundation. I like the phone book pages. You can use anything that you want as long as it gets the job done for you. How's that for diplomatic? What I am doing, you guys got to see this. This is my bucket of neutral strings. This is all of the trim offs and little pieces that I did not want to cut into uniform strips or widths. You know, I save fabric in 1.5 inch, 2 inch, 2.5, 3.5 to start with. Those are my 4 core sizes. This is all the stuff left from using the AccuQuilt Studio that ended up being the end cuts that were less than half. Or maybe something that just didn't quite reach 2, and I didn't feel like cutting it down to the next size, down to 1.5 inches. I just threw it in the string bin to add to my variety. Whoops, there's a colored piece. This does not belong in here. A lot of these things are neutral. This is not. I don't know how it got in here. We'll stick that over in Mona's pile. She's doing some string piecing over there too. So what I am doing, those of you who follow along with Quiltmaker magazine, and you know that they have their issues called 100 Blocks by 100 Designers. Volume 14 just came out a couple of weeks ago. This is not for that. This is for a couple of issues ago when I had a block pattern called Dawn's Early Light. And if you remember that one or can look it up, it has some small neutral string pieced squares. So that's what I'm working on. There's some regular piecing that goes into it too, some small little friendship stars and some half square triangles. That'll come out of the regular fabric stash. But it was really fun to sit here and string piece with my friend while doing something very brainless. And it occurred to me this afternoon that this would be a really great opportunity to share with you what I consider to be neutral, or what modern quilters call low volume, in the scrap stash. To start with, I've got some that are already trimmed up here. I did these while waiting for the clock to get close enough that I could start this live. Here's some that you might not consider to be neutral or neutral enough. This little one here is a cream print. You can kind of see that the phone book is showing through, but it's a cream background, and it's kind of got an aqua little floral on it. And there's quite a bit of aqua little floral. So these are ones that I call nearly neutral. It's not really neutral because it has quite a bit of color to it. But the question I ask myself, is it light? Is it very light? Is it lighter than medium? And will it add some interest to what I've got going on in these here? And if the answer is yes, I will use it. If I were to use this fabric where my other dark aquas are, it would read as too light. It's really, really a very light fabric, even though it looks mostly aqua blue. So I would use that as a neutral. What about these apples over here? How many of you saw these apples in this piece and thought, well, shoot, that is not a neutral fabric. Those are red. Well, look at the ground color of the fabric. And when I have something that shouts really loud, like these little red apples, I'll use them in small amounts. So it was perfect to use it as the corner piece for this. So we'll be talking a little bit about neutrals while I work. If you have any questions for me, the best way for you to reach me, because I can't see where the chat is happening on Facebook. We're doing this in Facebook Live right now. I can't see it, so you're going to have to email it to me. Email is the only thing that I can get close enough to my face to read because the laptop is quite a ways away from where I'm at. My email address is quiltville@gmail.com. And if you'd like to share a photo of what you're working on, you can post it in the Facebook comments where this feed is, and everybody else can also see it. But I'd love to share your photo with others who are also watching, who may be catching this later in YouTube or catching it later when it's embedded into my blog. So if you want to send me your picture so I can see it while we're sewing, because I can't get to that comment section right now, you can also email me your photo at quiltville@gmail.com. I'd love to know where you are, what you're doing, how you're spending your Sunday. If you're working on our En Provence mystery quilt, we can answer some questions on that. It's been really, really exciting. The last couple of clues have been released, and I start thinking about next Friday and what clue we're going to do then, and then I realize, shoot, the next clue puts us nearly halfway done already. How can the time be moving so fast? It's my favorite time of the year. So send me your email and let me know how things are streaming for you, and if you're enjoying this. I hope that you are. I just had a buzz on my wrist, which let me know that some messages are coming in. Very exciting. Kelly Venter says, working on my mystery quilt and bow tie blocks today. Thanks for QuiltCam. We're getting 3 to 5 inches of snow. We're not getting any snow here. It's actually raining. I took Sadie for a walk just a bit ago with an umbrella. She was not happy with the rain, but she needed a walk. Oh, I love it, Kelly. I love your machine. Hang on just a second. I'll show you her machine. So I see her bow ties and her 4 patches there. Can I get this biggie sized? Maybe, will it turn sideways? There we go. There we go. So here's her beautiful machine, and if I scroll just a little bit, you can see what's going on with her cheddar 4 patches there, or cheddar bow ties and the 4 patches there. But look at that machine. Look at how that spool is sitting right in that little cubby hole in the front of the machine. I love vintage machines. Today I'm sewing on my Black Singer 301 long bed. I got this one last spring off of Craigslist. Love this machine. Just absolutely love it. Kelly, that is, wow. So what is it? Oh, I'm looking at what it's a Sewmore. S-E-W-M-O-R. I love that. The aqua color is cool. You got a sweet deal on that one. Celeste Wagner says, you're coming in loud and clear. What better place to be on this rainy, dreary afternoon than in front of my laptop and watching you? You're coming in loud and clear. That's nice to know. This microphone for this, it's an external camera that's connected to my tablet. And I know the microphone can be a little bit strong. You may need to put your volume down. I don't know how to speak softly. I tend to project too much. So if it's too loud, just turn your volume down. But thank you. We've also got Rhonda Harvey who says, yay, exclamation point, exclamation point. How are you, Rhonda? She says, coming in loud and clear. I am just thrilled. Okay, so, need a sip, hang on. The hair, this is called cabin hair because there is no curling iron at the cabin. And I decided to do this last minute. And about all that I can do is wash and wear here. So you're getting me au naturel. I've got one block in the machine. Can you see this one here? I can maybe angle this just a little bit better. Hang on just a second. There. I think that's better so you can see what's going on with the machine. I do a chain of 2. And most of you who have watched QuiltCams in the past or you've been in a workshop with me know this. I have an engine and a caboose, and that's as long as my chain goes. Unless I need to make 100 half square triangles or something like that, I'll let my chain get longer. But when I am doing assembly things like this, a chain of 2 actually helps me sew faster. So what I will do is sew my pieces onto one foundation and chase it with a second foundation, snip this one off from behind, bring it forward, and they just chase each other's tails. And as one is finished, I set it aside and start on another foundation. This way I get more completed blocks quicker than if I were to sew all 150 of these that I need in a chain, have to press them all, cut them all apart, and then come back and add another strip to them all again. So this is something that I'd like to encourage you to try. Whether you're assembling blocks or you're piecing units like this, whatever it is, if you can use fewer pieces in a chain, it's less of a headache. So in my bag, over here, I guess my bin, when I sew, you see I've got this is a piece of short stuff over here. As I get closer to the corners of the block, I will pull from my short pile to try to use those up. As I pull anything from this bin, like maybe if I were pulling, let's see, this piece here. Okay, this piece is probably long enough to go over several blocks, maybe 3 or 4. I'll use this piece until it's gone. My goal is do not put a short strip back into the bin. The object is to clear the bin, not put shorter pieces that are harder to use back in it. So I am going to take this piece. Actually, I don't want that one yet. It just doesn't contrast enough with this one. Okay. And I like to overlap the edges of my paper. My paper are cut the unfinished size that I need. And the paper is there for a couple of reasons. It gives me a foundation so things don't stretch, and it gives me a size to shoot for. And I like to overlap about 1/4 inch all the way around so I have room to shift the ruler if I should happen to miss an area or if there's something I want to focus, like a fussy cut. My strips are anywhere from about 3/4 of an inch, which is the thinnest that I will use, up to 2 inches. But on these blocks, these are only 3.5 inches square. So a 2-inch strip is going to take up most of the block. So most everything inches, I can cut them in half so that I can use them twice as much. And right off the bat, we have a little issue. And I wouldn't call this a big one. Do you see that I've got just this little corner peeking up right here? It's not enough to really worry about. My 1/4 inch seam will probably catch that. But if I overpiece down here, if I let my fabric as I work this way go longer than the paper, then I've covered the paper all the way I can shift the ruler and make up for this corner where I was short. I would not add another piece right here. It's too tiny. So we'll just keep going here. Here's another short piece that's just the right size to do what I need it to do. And this piece is probably too small. It would only cover a very small corner, so I keep a trash right next to me, and yeah, there's some stuff that is just too small and I pitch it out. But you can see how quick this goes. And you might even notice that I'm not iron pressing. When I'm not on camera, I do have a little iron set up over here, but I don't want to constantly be turning my back to you. So finger pressing works fine. Now what happens if I get a little bubble in my piecing because I didn't press it? Not a problem. We can pull the paper. We can just tug that paper so the seam comes away from the paper. And then I can still press it nice and flat before trimming. The paper's done its job and it's going to come out anyway. I would not be able to do that if I used a leave-in foundation such as muslin, dryer sheets, interfacing, whatever excuse of a foundation that people try to tell me that I need to leave in there. I would rather have that foundation out. Now here's a good corner. I've got plenty of space to add something. But let's look at the fabrics that are in here first. Here's a little corner that has some nondescript writing on it. It looks sort of like writing, but it's not really writing. There's some stripes from a recycled shirt, and it's mostly a white stripe, but there's little faint blue stripes in it as well. Remember, you're looking at for what you see the most on the fabric, and this really read very light to me, so even though it has blue stripes, in it goes as a neutral. The next one is kind of a sandy colored floral. That's easy to call a neutral because it's a tone on tone. But remember, neutrals don't have to just be tone on tone and they don't have to be boring. The next one, it's a white on white. So yes, I still use those. I just try not to put two white on whites next to each other because they cancel each other out. They are great separators in between things that are busier. So you can still use up those white on whites. I have found myself pitching some older white on whites because that white on white stuff is it's a screen print. It's like paint on the fabric. And several of the older white on whites that I had from 10, 12, 15 years ago, yeah, I have fabric that old and older. They started to turn yellow. The paint started to turn yellow. The background may have still been white, but now the paint's yellow. And it was very, very stiff. So that kind of stuff I started pitching out. But some of the, I think the newer ones are better. Now for this corner, how many of you have little trimmed off stuff like this that maybe you've joined borders or binding on the diagonal? You know, you lap them over like this and you sew that diagonal and you cut those corners off. They're perfect for covering the corner of a string piece square. So that's where this one's going to go. And I have no idea how old these are, and I'll admit it, a lot of this stuff isn't mine. People feel bad about pitching their scraps, so it shows up on my doorstep. And I can't pitch this little stuff either because I love to paper piece and I love to string piece. And I love finding places where all of this variety can come together. So I'm just chaining 2 blocks here. My goal on these is I want at least 5 pieces. There should be at least 5 pieces on a block this size. Sometimes 6, sometimes I've ended up with 7. So it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if your strip is exactly on the true diagonal either. It can shift a little bit this way or that way. The more variety you put in it as far as strip placement, fabric placement, the variety of fabrics, the better it looks, truly. Okay, so we're going to find a corner that's big enough. I think this one will do. I've been setting just leftover triangles and stuff down here under my little extension table. And I'm going to set this one on here. And see, this is big enough to cover that with room to spare. And then this one. Okay, so that's another one for the done pile. And look, I just made the paper here. I just made it. Now there's plenty of room to trim on the other side, but whew, barely there, but we made it. Let's check in to see who's tuning in with us today. Do you have Christmas music or holiday music playing at your place? Do you have yummy cookies in the oven? Tell me how you're spending your Sunday. I'd love to know. Okay, so we've got a couple of text messages came in. Oh my goodness, it's from my sister. I told her this morning in text message, I was listening to Pandora and trying to find something that was instrumental so I could think. I wanted some Christmas music on, but I wanted it to be instrumental. Well, my favorite go-to guy for instrumental music is Jim Brickman. So on Pandora, I searched and I put in Jim Brickman Holiday, and that channel came up, and it's awesome. So if you like just nice instrumental No pounding lyrics, no, screaming at you holiday songs. If you're tired of Santa Baby being sung by so-and-so, try Jim Brickman Holiday. It's really good. So she likes it. Let's see. Oh, and the hubby left his suitcase here. I'll have to take it home with me on Tuesday. Grammy Dwin says, hope Mona's feeling better soon. Well, thank you. I'll let her know. Mona's queasy tummy is our benefit over here because we're doing this. It's our win. Oh, wow. How great. This is from Jennifer in Ontario, and she's working on her tumblers. And she says, big stitch quilting on my tumbler quilt while watching you and football. So she says, thanks for keeping us company. And she's got, you can see she's got some pin basting going on. If I can make that a little smaller that way. Nope, it won't go that way. Sometimes it does. This is all in Gmail. It's better this way. So you can see that she's got her tumblers there, pin basted, watching some football, doing some big stitch quilting. I see the quilting thread. Looks like it's a neutral. I see it. I just biggied those stitches. Let's see if I can pull those up here. At the very, very top of the hoop, can you see? Whoops. Never mind. My poor wrist feels like there's a bumblebee trapped in my watch because it lets me know every time there's a message coming through. Jennifer, those are gorgeous. And then this one, I saw this message from Andy come in, and she says, watching you and the Packer game. So maybe that's the same one that Jennifer's watching. She says, thanks for sharing your day with us. Half of Clue 2 awaits me after the tree goes up. Okay, so we can talk a little bit about Clue 2 while I'm here with neutrals. I've had a couple of messages, and this is what prompted yesterday's blog post about the neutrals. If you are cutting Tri-Rex units with an AccuQuilt, you're going to need more fabric because it leaves waste, right? Because it leaves a margin around all sides of what you're cutting for that. If you're cutting from fat quarters, your strips are shorter. So you're losing a couple of units from each couple of strips because you can't get an extra piece out of the end. You know, that you've got the waist at this end and the waist at this end, and so you're going to have twice as much waist if you're cutting from fat quarter strips than full width of yardage. I have also had some other emails saying, I've calculated this, and I've done this, and this, and this, and this, and we are already 3 inches over the 3 yards. Well, this is where I have to say, I'm sorry. We have a couple more clues left that use neutrals, and very rarely has EQ ever left me short on yardage figuring. Usually it leaves me so long that, like last year, there was like 1.5 yards of neutrals left over that we didn't use. So it's either one thing or the other thing. Now for my scrappy girls, this is not going to be a problem. You can pull in more neutrals, and most of you don't even count yardage. And I did not even figure yardage when working on this quilt until it came time to draft it all out in EQ because I work from my scraps. All of your colors you have sufficient yardage of. Your neutrals, you may want to pick up another 1.5 yards to 2 yards just to be safe, because those angles on the Tri-Rex backgrounds are weird and they kind of overlap. Positioned this way, and then it's positioned this way, and then it's positioned this way. And just plan on some more neutrals. For the ones who are using the one neutral and you have cut the 3.5 inch squares for the places where people have done the 4 patches, you should be okay. You should be okay because you haven't lost any yardage in your seams for all of those 4 patches. Those 4 patches, if we cut them at 2 inches and they finish at 1.5 inches, we're losing 25% of the fabric in those strips in the seams. And I think this is where some of the miscalculations came. So I'll be the first one to tell you that I am not perfect. I screw up often. It wasn't intentional, and I do my best to make it right for you. And if you need more fabric, I hope you can find something that matches closely to what you've got. The units that we have that use neutral further in the quilt, the next couple of units, everything is symmetrical. So if you were to put different units in these places, or different neutrals, it becomes part of the design. So it will not look weird, okay? It will not look weird. But plan on another 1.5 yards to 2 yards of neutrals, and I'll be writing about that in the blog tomorrow as well. This is why I am a scrappy girl. And remember, you guys are my beta testers on this mystery. I make the quilt, but nobody sees it and nobody gets the pattern to test it until I share it with you. And I do my best to make sure that you have what you need, but you'll need some more neutrals for the next couple of steps. Most of our neutral is less than we've already used. We're getting close to the end of the neutral. So there's some parts that will just be more color than neutral, but I want you to have enough. So I apologize, you'll have to find some more. Another thing on the update on the Essential Triangle tools. I just had an email from somebody who hadn't placed their order yet and wanted to know if they would get the triangle tool before the clue is needed for this. And the answer is no, we can't. I don't have an exact delivery date for these tools. Remember, we did not run out until halfway through November 19th. So everybody that ordered through November 18th has their tools. It's those people that waited longer that are at the end of the line for getting them. And for that, I apologize. We've moved 3,500 tools through my dining room since they became available in October, and we let you know that they would be used for the mystery. I had no idea that we would move this many, and there was no way to calculate how many we could get. We got our hands on all that we could. That was 3,500. That was all the warehouse could spare on the first run, and we placed an order right away for the second run, and that should be here sometime by mid-December. But remember that these are mailed first class. They may take 5 days to get to you or so. We're in the holiday mail season, and the post office is running as hard as they can, and everybody is doing their best to make sure that Christmas packages get to where they are. There are alternative methods, and we mentioned this a few times, especially in the introductory post for Provence. If you have an easy angle ruler or a companion angle ruler from previous mysteries, you can use those until your Essential Triangle tool shows up, okay? There will be other rotary cutting directions given for other units to do the units in a different way if you don't have the Essential Triangle tool. And what you can do is try some other methods, make a few units, set it aside, wait till your tool comes, and then dive right back in. And you'll be just fine. The thing to remember is that this is not a life or death situation. We're sewing. This is a quilt, and it's not a race. And we will get you your tools as quickly as possible. But there are options for these other units. For those who do not have Tri-Rex, I have been saying from the get-go that this was the best tool to have if you want to rotary cut. There are no rotary cutting directions to cut these shapes without rulers. The base triangle is a 32-degree triangle. It's taller on the sides than it is wider at the bottom. You take those for the units for the side are even more a picky thing. This is not just something that you can plop your regular rotary cutter down and just cut. So there are paper templates provided. You can take those paper templates and make yourself a cardboard template. You can, tape the paper template on your ruler, see if you can get things to cut that way, or you can paper piece them. These are your options. For people who say that they can't afford the ruler, they don't have a printer to print the shapes, you can take that file, put it on a thumb drive, go down to Office Depot, go down to FedEx office, and have them print the paper piecing or have them print the templates or phone a friend. There is some way that you can get this done. It's not that I'm trying to single people out who don't have money for a ruler set or don't have a printer, but this is something that I have said from the beginning of the mystery, that the mystery itself is free. You're getting all the instruction for free. You had to use your stash or you buy some fabrics or whatever, and there's a few key tools. If I were building a piece of furniture and it said that I needed a bandsaw or a hand sander. I would not try to do this with a steak knife or a handsaw. I would want the right tool for the job, okay? So find some way that you can maybe share tools with a friend or borrow their printer or whatever it is. All right, so we're going to get back and we're going to sew some more. But I hope that answers some questions, and I'll be writing more about the neutrals on the blog in the morning, okay? When we do our Mystery Monday link up. I'm going to iron this piece really quick. No, I'm not, because it is turned off. I turned it off when I went to go take a shower. Okay. It's warming up, so we will try a different piece. So I can state my other favorite slogan. When it comes to fabric, more is always better. Okay, gonna sew this on here. It's awfully quiet in this cabin right now. Sadie's asleep. Oh, you got to see this. I will do this just so that you can see where my girl is. Pardon the dizzy. She's all crashed out. Mama's doing her thing. And that's the string bucket that Mona was sewing from. So she better make a lot of quilts from that. Okay, let's put you back. We're just very high tech here. We do what we can. I'm just happy that the tablet works, the external webcam on the tablet works, and that everything is not in mirror image. Okay. We'll iron this strip. Okay. So this piece came from a shirt. It's not a bias stripe. It's actually cut on the bias. But one of the things I don't worry about when I am doing string piecing is fabric grain. If I'm doing regular patchwork, I do worry about fabric grain, but the foundation doesn't have stretch in any direction. So it's going to be just fine to use this bias strip because the paper will stabilize it and the seam will also stabilize that bias edge. So if you have something with a diagonal weave to it or bias, you can still use that. And if you want to see what I am making, look up the previous issues of 100 Blocks, 100 Designers, and find my block, Dawn's Early Light. You can also type in the search bar at the top of my blog, Dawn's Early Light, and that is with an apostrophe S, and the blocks will come up, and you'll get to see what I'm making. Okay, so we're ready for a corner on here. Let's talk about this fabric. Here's one that some of you might think, well, shoot, that's not neutral, or it's too dark. My rule for myself, especially with this quilt, is that I don't want anything that has crossed from medium to the dark side. So as soon as fabric hits medium on the value scale, and that's up to you how dark you want your medium to be, I'd kick it to the dark. But to me, this is lighter than a brown paper bag. So I will use this. Sometimes I'll flip it to the reverse side, and maybe the back side is even better. So this one here, if I feel like that's too dark, nope, I actually like it. And that's a small enough corner, and this is a big enough triangle. I can fold it in half. And that'll put the straight grain on the outside of my block. We'll do one more. I think I can use that other corner I just cut off on this one. And then I hear some messages coming in. Okay. See, I don't think that's too dark. Do you? Not when it gets placed with all of the others in the quilt, and it'll add just this little spark. You'll see these little things, and I want them to be visible. I don't want everything to be the same dye lot, the same, no pattern, tone on tone. because then you may as well just use one fabric. Okay. Dory says, just keep sewing. She says, QuiltCam is great today. Your voice and lips are moving in sync. You know, that's a minor miracle because we're streaming off of Wi-Fi through Facebook. And I think that that's awesome. Thank you for letting me know. She said, is that a Rowenta travel iron? This one is a Conair. It's just a little one. And actually, this one I don't love as much. I don't love it as much. It doesn't seem to get very, very hot. It only gets medium hot. And sometimes that's not enough to get the wrinkles out of a bucket of strings. But it's here. My vintage iron took a tumble to the floor and the Bakelite handle broke. So I'm in search of a new vintage iron that gets very, very hot and stays on. She says, love impromptu. My Cowboys aren't on TV today. So she's sewing along with us. Grammy says volume. Oh, and then she says, ignore driver error. So, Grammy, she's fixed it. Mary Hodge says, QuiltCam handwork. What fun to find that you are doing QuiltCam today. I'm trying to do some hand embroidery, but my thimble keeps falling off because I lost weight when I was sick. Well, I'm sorry you were sick. And isn't that just the way that it goes? The places that I'd like to lose weight, like my hind end, not a chance. Lose weight in your fingers. That's like really going to show there. But I'm glad that you're not sick. She says, this is going to be a dish towel for my mom who has Mexican motif in her kitchen. Oh, that's really cute, Mary. Really cute. So she's got some stitchery going there. There's a cactus and a beautiful lady and a little guy I see guy in sombrero. Maybe he's serenading her with a beautiful tune. That is wonderful. I love the cactus. You can almost feel the texture of that cactus. That's beautiful. Randy says, my version of Smith Mountain Morning. Oh, it says Linda Yeagley. Why? Oh, Randy must be her husband's email account because that's where it came from. So Linda Yeagley, enjoying some much needed rain here in Southern California. I wanted to share my most recent finish. This is my Smith Mountain Morning for my daughter-in-law who lives in Boston. She wanted a blue and white quilt. I love the way the two tones of blue turned out. She loves it and says she is snuggling under it right now. And there's the photo. Oh, that's beautiful. So again, it's all about value. My quilt used brown and blue, and here she's just swapped out the brown for the dark blue, and the light blue is all the blues. That is absolutely stunning. Can you imagine that with a white snow scene outside the window? Not that I'm wishing any snow on Boston, but that is just gorgeous. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I don't know if you can see behind me if I move. Whoops, I guess I got to move this way. It's in mirror image on the... Here's my pumpkins. I finished this yesterday. Photos are on today's blog post, but I had so much fun with this. Bring it over here. It kind of just grew on its own. So you can see that there's two borders on here, and I absolutely love what the orange border did to the green one. The green one, I just wanted to look like the end of a field. So there's green and gray checkerboard going on, and my friend said it looked like a kitchen backsplash. But I wanted it to be very low contrast, and I wanted it to kind of be like there's leaves in the field, and the pumpkins are in the field, and these. But the orange just kind of sets it off nice. So I think I'm going to quilt it. This will be it. I won't add any more border to it. It's already the size I need it to be. And I'm going to put an orange binding on it so that it ends in orange. The orange is going to just be the finish. So I'm really happy with this. It's going to go off to Quilt Maker Magazine, I hope. I've got an email into them. And that way the pattern with all the foundations and everything can show up in the magazine, and you won't have to deal with PDF sizes. And for the fall. So we'll let you know how that goes. See what else is going on in here. Kevin! Hi, Kevin! He says, hello, my talented friend. So cool to be able to join you at Quilt Villa. Holla from the quilt cave where it was snowing earlier, working on some Christmas gifts. Enjoy your time off. Well, that's wonderful. Thanks, Kevin. Regine says, using my scraps to make Scandinavian stars today. Wonderful. You didn't send a picture though. I don't see any. Oh, there they are. We're on Wi-Fi here too, so that takes a little bit of time for those pictures to come in. So here's Regine's little Scandinavian stars, and it's a folding technique. I found this on Pinterest, so I think if you go to Pinterest and type in Scandinavian stars, you'll see it. They're all folded from fabric. So you can put them all over your Christmas tree. It'll look quilty. And then if you run short on something, you can undo them and sew them up. Very cute. Donna Johnson says, QuiltCam today. Loving the surprise gathering today. Working on donation quilt for the Tennessee fire relief. And I spy some hourglass units. Very nice. She says she used to love In the Keys and loved revisiting it with me. So the hubby and I, so here's her hourglass units. Looks like recycled. That's perfect. Perfect for going up to the Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area. There's a lot of quilters that are doing relief quilts that are much needed for that area. So if you have an opportunity, maybe you've got some orphan blocks that it was going to be a queen size quilt, but you've only got half of them done. And if you could just put them together and they'd be a lap size to donate to the relief efforts for Tennessee, that would be wonderful. Check with your local guild or try a Google or something to find an organization. I don't have any names or information off the top of my head. Remember, these fires have devastated acres and acres, and over 100 people have lost homes. Businesses are gone. More information will be coming in the near future. These fires were just last week, so I will post information as soon as I have it if you have something that you'd like to donate. And I know that there are also organizations that are trying to round up stuff to help quilters who've lost everything, replace their stash, replace their machines, get them sewing again. Okay. Cynthia Pugh says, I love being one of your guinea quilting pigs. I'm working on En Provence. Thank you. I'm using fabric from my stash. This is the first time I'm using colors different from yours. And she says she loves the pumpkin quilt. And here's her photo. Oh, these are beautiful. So she's got 2 shades of aqua, kind of yellow and a raspberry, and that brown. That's going to be yummy. That's going to be just wonderful. I love it when you are adventurous and you want to try something else. Pillowcases from Joanne says, I'm quilting 8 pillowcases for great nieces and great nephews for their Christmas gifts. Yes, I have 2-inch tumblers or 2.5-inch tumblers as leaders and enders, and she's sewing on her beautiful machine. Let's see. Nope, I don't want to label it. Let's see if I can get that bigger. Oh, that's beautiful. So she's sewing right there on her vintage machine, working on some pillowcases. Another great gift. If you have any homemade gifts that are quick and wonderful and fun to sew up for grandchildren, nieces and nephews and things like that, if you'd like to share those, I'd love to see what you've got to share as well. Kathy says, loving the impromptu QuiltCam. I know, right? Sometimes it's nice not to schedule it. So I've even thought in the future I might just pop on. Today I at least gave you an hour's heads up for those of you who did get the notification. I made a little blog post and told everybody where to go. I'm good at telling people where to go. Okay. She says, watching from Southern Ontario and working on my Canadian women quilt blocks to commemorate Canada's 150th birthday coming up in 2017. Isn't that exciting? Love it. Okay, and this one is from Sue. It says, sewing along with Wanderlust, getting all the center stars done. And there should be, and there's her, oh, Suze, this is great. Her photo just disappeared though. Come on, come on. I saw them, then it flipped off on my phone. So come here. Maybe we'll refresh. There it is. Okay. So this is Swooze's Wanderlust. This course is running on Craft Online University, CraftU, and you can get all of the information by clicking the Wanderlust link that's in the left-hand sidebar of my blog. So you'll need to view it on a real computer because it won't come up on a mobile device. Click that link, and there's also a code for you to save $15 off the price of the course. Tell your friends and your family that this is what you'd love to do for your course. So if you want to know, whoops, that went blank. Come back. If you want to know how to use the Essential Triangle tool, in-depth video instruction, it's all in that course. And we will be doing that also with the mystery when we get to those parts. And I've also got some videos that I did with C&T that we'll be able to share those with the mystery as well. But if you'd like to do the Wanderlust quilt, click it's right there by the image of the Wanderlust quilt. You'll see it in the left-hand sidebar. Click the link, put in the code, save $15. Merry Christmas. Beautiful quilt swoos. I can't wait till you share the finish. It's going to be just gorgeous. Okay, one more. Tony says, just got home and finishing up a binding on a granddaughter's quilt and catching QuiltCam. So glad that you are here, and it's a perfect day for binding. It's foggy outside right now. It's been rainy all day. It's awful, so I'm really glad that you're here with me. Although all the rain and the cold and the fog and the yuck has made it really, really helpful to get all those fires out. Barb says, Talkin' Turkey. Working on Talkin' Turkey from your class in September, and she's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And she's got her blocks laid out right there. Talkin' Turkey is from my book String Fling, and her strings are red while the ones I'm doing are in neutral. Let's sew some more. Those are just beautiful. So exciting, exciting things. I had nope, that's too small, but I think that'll be a corner. How about this one? What do you think? How many of you see blue first and think this is a blue fabric? Look how much white is in there. And if I only use this part, and by the time you've taken up the seam allowance, there's not a whole lot of blue showing. So for me, this is a neutral. It's neutral. That's the ground color that matters, and it's going to go great against that cream. The next few quilts that I'm working on are all quilts that started out as blocks with the 100 Blocks by 100 Designers series. So it's one of those things where you might not have the full quilt pattern in front of you, but you can make the blocks and you can wait to see how I set them, and then you can finish them up when the pattern comes out. So that's what I'm doing with these. These are going into the Dawn's Early Light quilt that I'll be making. And you can start your blocks and sew along with me. And then after the book will be out, then you'll see my layout, you'll see what we do, and you'll be so surprised, and the quilt will almost be done. So it's kind of like a partial mystery. Are you trying to make yourself more cozy over there, Sadie? Sadie's turning in her bed, and she's kind of trying to... Are you fixing that? Nope, I think that one's not. Okay. This one on here. Now I'm just aiming for somewhat of a 1/4 inch seam. It doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, I may go halfway in between, a little bit more than 1/8 and a little bit less than 1/4, because it's really bulky to have all of that fabric in there, and these are small pieces. Remember, the smaller the piecing, the more they have you trim your seam allowance down. That fabric wanted to curl up, but I'm ready to put a corner on this one. And again, these little cut off corners, even with all of that selvage, is just the right size to add to this block. See how nice it is just to work on 2 blocks at a time and see these go into the done pile so much faster. I like this one. So do you think now that this tan one with the red on it, do you think that that sticks out too much? I don't. Not when it's going to be up against ones like this after it's trimmed, or like this, or maybe this. These are some I treadled earlier, at home, and I'm going to have to remove the paper from them. Here's one that has quite a bit of color in it, but do you see how they're very light? This one here has a definite white background, even though you see the bluey flowers and the yellow flowers quite readily there. It's still a white fabric. It just has colored detail on it. This one down here was a beach scene, and it had clams and starfish and things like that. Perfect for the corner. The best part about being in Florida, we were down in Key Largo over Thanksgiving, I think was the manatee sighting. That was my favorite of all. I was in a lounge chair in this little cove behind our hotel, and I was just reading my Kindle. I wasn't even sewing. I was just reading, and I looked over into the little canal. I would call it a canal. It wasn't a ditch, but it's freshwater canal. And there was this manatee just swimming by, did a little flippy thing with his tail. I had my phone on video so fast as I was running up there, and we caught him twice. We caught him that day, and then the next day he was even further up the canal. We actually had the En Provence quilt out with us, trying to get really nice photo op shots while we were in Florida with some of the vegetation behind. And Dave goes, come over here. And I'm like, what? Wait, just a minute. I'm trying to spread this all out and get no, come over here now. And it was right up against the bank and was like nibbling on the roots of the trees or something like that. And we just sat there and we were just and watched him. If you've never seen manatees in the wild, it just stopped my heart. It was just, they are such gentle beasts. So nice. Okay, so that one was done. I can start a new one. Now this is all that's left of this piece, so it's going to go in the short pile, and then closer to the corners I'll be able to use that up. And this one's getting closer to being all used up. And yes, you can put a white with black polka dots against a cream. It's okay. And the more you mix them together, the richer your quilt looks. I like to liken this to a white cake with white icing. A white cake is not really white, is it? It's more creamy. It's not stark naked white. But your white icing is very white. But you put the two of those together, and they're simply delicious. So yes, you can combine whites with creams with beiges, and everywhere in between. And now I want cake. Thank you very much. Alrighty, and this one's done. So it just seems every couple of passes we've got another completion to add to the little pile of stuff that I'll spend my time trimming. And then tonight, I think when I watch TV, I'm at cabin alone. So I think there will be another episode of The Crown happening, and I'll do some depapering. I've also been catching up on episodes that I missed from Land Girls. Do we have any Land Girls fans out there? And there are 3 episodes of the new Gilmores, a year in the life of the Gilmores, things to do first. But I like to parcel those out. I didn't want to binge on those all 4 at once. If you are a Gilmore Girls fan, I'd love to know what you think about these later in the life, 10 years later in the lives of Gilmores. And I've had some pleasant, very strong giggles moments, and then some it's like, why did they do this? Or it's not flowing like it used to. But 10 years later, nothing ever is the same. So I'm still so a huge favorite. Okay. Get this one on here. And I usually don't use such big scissors to cut threads, but as I'm cutting strips also, I need a good sharp pair to be able to cut excess off. So, see, this doesn't look so bad. It's kind of a golden beige next to a stark white with black polka dots. But when I add other stuff to it, it's all going to work together. Okay, let's check in here. Oh. So here's some more of that ocean scene. There's some shrimp, there's some clams, there's some lobsters. It was just a really, really funny novelty print, but there's so much light pale blue as the background that once it's cut up into strings, it's just a neutral with lots of interesting stuff. Nothing fishy about that at all. Okay. Barb, I just popped up your photo of your talking turkey again. It makes my heart happy. I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you. Carol Veens says, Carol from Newport, Vermont. I'm working on En Provence and am cutting my neutrals. Well, am now so intent on making sure that my ruler is on the fabric and not on the mat that I am ending up with just a smidgen of fabric more on the top or the bottom of my triangle. Will that matter? If that means your strips are too wide. If you have more on the top of your triangle, and I'll show you what she means in a second. Too much is too much. Is too much. Too much is too much. So if you are getting more line on top of your fabric and your strips are too wide, you're going to end up trimming some down. So let me biggie size this and show you what she means. Okay. So Carol, what I see here is that there's a little bit of fabric showing at the bottom of your base triangle, and then the top of the ruler is shoved up too high. Get that, I would worry more about the top of the ruler being even with the fabric than having fabric showing below the line here. So get them aligned with each other or your units will not turn out the right size, okay? I can see fabric plainly at the bottom of your unit here, and it looks to me like the top of your ruler is above the fabric. So little less overzealous, please. I don't want you to have to square them all down a little bit, but you'll find a sweet spot with what works with you. Remember, the cutting has to work with the thread you sew with and your seam allowance. There's a whole lot of stuff coming together. It's not seam allowance only and it's not cutting only. So do some test units and find out. But if I had fabric down below the bottom of my ruler, I would know that I'm going to come out too big and I'm going to have to sliver trim down 100 units. Okay, so try not to be so overzealous. It also could be because the lines on your ruler that you're cutting your strips with, if those lines are really thick, you maybe have too much line on your fabric. So I like to use rulers that have very fine lines. My current go-to favorites are the Olfa Frosted, because they don't have big, huge white circles, big, huge black circles. They don't have yellow bubbles or green bubbles or things that distort the line. The line is very fine, and those give me much more accurate results. So if your rulers are looking kind of shabby, maybe for Christmas Santa needs to bring you some new ones. Okay. Susan says, what I'm doing today, I'm working in Clue 2, waiting for it to be time to go. My small quilt group, Threadheads of the Grateful Thread, I love it, is celebrating our 20th anniversary Russian tea service at the Heathman in Portland, Oregon. So Sue, I hope you have a wonderful time meeting with your Threadheads. Please give them a big Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of them from me. That sounds like so much fun. Pat Levac says, come on, Pat. She says, from Summit Point, West Virginia, wonderful QuiltCam surprise. Cold and dreary here today. I'm trying to finish up gifts. This is for my sister-in-law who lives in England. And it's like, is there or isn't there a photo attached, Pat? I can't tell because it's not. There it is. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's very pretty. So she's got an embroidery here that says Rejoice, and I have a feeling it's just small tabletop. I don't think that's full-size quilt, but she's got it on a little stand, and it has Christmas bells on it. So that's really pretty. Thank you for sharing that, and I hope I didn't just spoil your sister's Christmas surprise. That is just beautiful, Pat. I love it. Yep, there's a mat underneath it, so I can tell. There's a cutting mat underneath. That's a mini. You just never know. It's a photograph. So this one, Sandra Bailey says, impromptu QuiltCam surprise. What a wonderful surprise to wake up to a live QuiltCam. My interstate visitors have gone, and I will be working on my En Provence Clue 2 units today. I have had my Tri-Rex ruler for years and never used them, so I'm looking forward to making some new blocks with my old rulers. Thank you for everything you do for us. And she's in very sunny, hot Queensland, so for those of us who are freezing and dreary, we can only wish. And I'm going back down to the bottom here. Lori Jasny says, handmade presents, a shearing for QuiltCam, a Santa pillow, and a hot pad. And we're just waiting for her photo to come up. This is called Slow Go Wi-Fi. See, no picture. Come on. Come on. Well, at least the streaming is working well. There it is. I see it. Oh, that's very cute. It's a Santa's tummy pillow. See the belt? I love it. That's really great. And then the next one. So here's the folded star hot pad. I love that these have made a resurgence. I've seen a lot of the folded star stuff happening. There's instructions on Pinterest. You can go find it. But I remember being newly married in 1980. I got married in 81. August of 81. So that very, very first Christmas, December of 81, someone had showed me how to take styrofoam balls and a fingernail file, and to poke the scraps of fabric into the styrofoam ball so it looked like you had patchwork balls. Do you guys remember doing that? Patchwork. And the nice thing was that they were lightweight and scraps were plentiful, and everybody knew I was newly married. I didn't have a lot of stash, and so they were giving me all of these Christmas scraps to make these balls. And I've seen a resurgence of those too, and that just does my heart good. It's like Christmas has come full circle, and those are still my favorites. And we used pipe cleaners to make the little hanging thing to stick into the top, and with a little bit of glue so that it would stay there. It's just so fun. So same thing on the folded stars. They're beautiful, and they're easy to do, and they're fun, and they make a great gift. I can always use a new hot pad. I can always use a casserole cover, something like that. And so I feel like my people that I gift to also, a nice clean pot holder is a very welcome gift. So those are very beautiful. Lori, thank you for sharing those. I love the Santa pillow. That's so cute. Linda says, QuiltCam sew along, working on microwave bowl holders. So that's another thing, those little microwave bowl holders, so that you don't burn yourself when you're getting that bowl of soup out of the microwave. She says, for Christmas gifts, my fur baby Sam is also napping. Thanks so much for sharing en Provence. Your instructions are excellent, except for my yardage figuring. Can't have everything. And I'm loving it. Happy Scrappy Sewing, Linda Barnhouse in Hatfield, Missouri. So I'm checking to see if her photo comes up also. The problem is that the pictures, I think, come over data, and there's only a bar and a half on my phone. Remember, I am in Booneyland, even though it says I'm on Wi-Fi. Come on, baby. No. There they are. It just takes a bit. So you can see the really cute fabric here. You can see that the bowl is kind of concave, and you would put whatever you're reheating or heating up into your bowl and set it on top of this bowl warmer, and it goes right into the microwave with the bowl holder so that it's easy to take right back out. Another good thing, and although it's I don't think that this was part of the process, is I've had stuff kind of bubble over. And if it ends up on the bowl holder, it's a lot easier to throw that into the washing machine than it is to scrub out the microwave, right? Right. I like that. Okay, so the other one, see if I can get that. Come on. Oh, sweetie. So her puppy's doing the same as my Sadie's doing, just all curled up and taking a nap with it. That's wonderful. And you guys are busy. So Christine says, en Provence progress, literally just finished step 2 when I found the live QuiltCam. You know me, I had to atomize the colors. So she's gone with rusts. Oh, doesn't this look great? She's showing her units here on top of her 4 patches. They just look like they're on snow. It's so textural. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love it. I can't wait to see everybody's quilts, because I know what this quilt looks like, and I know it's going to blow you away, and it's going to be worth it. Just stick with me. It's going to be worth it. Leanna says, Hello from Riverton, Utah. I'm doing handwork today while watching QuiltCam and Broncos playing. Aha! Well, the hubby, was it? I suppose is this the Denver Broncos that you're watching? Denver Broncos. Hubby is Boise State Broncos only. But we bleed blue and orange over here, so that's nearly the same. Hopefully, I can get all these reindeer embroidered and put in the quilt by Christmas. The clock is ticking. She says, also, regarding the Tri-Rex rulers, my local quilt shop in Riverton, Utah has a couple available. So if there's anybody in the Salt Lake area who's looking for Tri-Rex, try Joann's. You can try Amazon. There's got to be a gazillion stores that do have them in stock. Try to shop locally if you can. I will not be getting any more in until after the first of the year because let's just say I've already got over 400 essential triangle tools to mail out when they do come in, and I just can't add to that because we'll be going into my Christmas time with my family. So I will not be getting any more Tri-Rex rulers in, but I know you can find them from another source, okay? And there's also other manufacturers that do the same thing. And AccuQuilt has a die. So there's ways to do this. But she says, let's see, the name of the shop is My Sister's Quilts, and they're open Monday 10 to 5. So if you are in Salt Lake and you know about My Sister's Quilts, they've got a couple sets there. Okay. Wendy says, my view as I watch and sew in Australia. I love my garden and unique Aussie flowers for extra inspiration. Having fun this morning. Well, I'm so glad you could join us, Wendy. I know it was impromptu. You woke up this morning, had no idea there was going to be QuiltCam today. I didn't even know until Mona sent me her text and said, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling good. And I thought, ooh, QuiltCam, let's give it a shot. So let's see if her photo comes up. I'm still waiting for her photo. And then we're going to sew. I just a little bit want to sew. Maybe I'll sew while that comes up. 150. Here's another one we can talk about. Look at this one. Those flowers are rather orange, and there's some blue ones, and the leaves are kind of brown, and this is like a vintage 70s piece. But you see the background color? It's cream. It's cream. And by the time I get this sewn into the block, the only place that really has a lot of color is this little blob right down here. And I will likely miss that when I sew it onto the block. But if you have stuff like this, which reminds me, I wish I had my little ruler with me. I'm getting some of those 2.5 by 6.5 creative grids in, and they say, and I blogged about them, so they're on the blog, but it just says my name, Bonnie Hunter, quiltville.com, and then it has the slogan, if it's still ugly, cut it smaller. This one's not cut small enough. Really? Really? Cut it smaller. Ha! Okay, let's sew this one on. So here's another choice. I have two sides that I can sew this on. I can either put it over here on the other side of the black polka dot so that there's contrast, floral against polka dot, okay, or I can put it on the other side, floral against plain. Which side do you like it better on? I think I kind of like it better over here. So this is another reason why I start in the center on my string blocks and work myself out to the corner, so I have choice. Now somebody else may decide that they like this, but I think that this is more interesting. So I tend to go for interesting more than pretty. Okay. And I tend to trim my strings just about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch longer than I need, and I trim them so that I can get the next one butted right up against. So you don't want to just continue to leave long strings hanging off of these blocks, okay? We can do the same thing here. This piece, ooh, that won't work. That's cut too weird. That's a pitch. Okay, so here's another one. Kind of cream. Pink roses, green leaves. How many of you would put this in your pink fabric? But it's not pink. And maybe the back side is better. With this one, it's also more than 2 inches wide. So I think what I'm going to do with this one, in order to be able to use it, I could use it for corners. Corners would be a good spot. But if I fold it in half, I can use my scissors to cut it into 2 widths. and then there's not so much showing, and then it's not so overwhelming when it's in the block. So if you have something that really screams, cut it narrower and let it just be just a little bit of a pop. I can put it on this side here. Okay, so here's another one of these where there's a little bit of corner sticking up. It's not quite going to be within my seam allowance, but if I over piece this direction, if I have my last piece of fabric hanging beyond the paper, I can slide my ruler down and not have to sew another piece here. So I will leave this for last just to see what happens with the other end here. Let's say that I didn't want to add anything down at the bottom extra. What I would do is take my corner piece, and instead of sewing it right here, which is going to put all of that seam into that seam allowance, I would scoot it down, sew it down here, trim the extra seam allowance out, and then this is still big enough to fold up and cover all the way. So there are some options for you there. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it in deciding what you want to do. So I'm going to scoot that one down. Okay. All of these came in a gifted box from somebody. It's all selvage ends, and they're cut in triangles. So they're perfect for these corners. As I like to say, even those cut off corners are 12 bucks a yard, right? Okay, so this is where I'm going to fold this one back. I'm going to fold my paper back, and I'm going to trim the extra seam allowance because I don't want all of this bulk just remaining in the block. Okay. This has been really fun. I'm really tickled that this will work at the cabin. Okay, so that covers now. This piece ended up being a little bit narrower than it originally was, but now I won't end up with seam clear up here in the seam allowance. Let's check in and see what's coming in because my wrist is buzzing to beat the band. We were looking for Wendy's photo, and here are her beautiful flowers. So this is her view out her window. Can you see that? Gorgeous, Australia. I'm going to make it there someday. I promise. I am coming to Australia. I'm coming to Australia. I need to at some point. I can see a beautiful bench there in your garden. Must be lovely this time of year. CenturyLink. Mitzi says, Mitzi, did you know that your name is not at the top of your email? It just says CenturyLink as who you are, okay? She says, Mitzi from Minnesota, thanks for sharing your day with us. I'm working on scrappy notebook covers to use as gifts. Now that's a great idea. Notebook covers with a couple of refill notebooks to go with them would be a wonderful gift for people who love to write things down. And this photo is still coming in as well. Shoot, this is, I'm amazed that Facebook is doing this well because it's not, my phone's on Wi-Fi and it is not coming in. Okay. Come on, come on, we want Mitzi's picture. There it is. Okay, so she's working on these beautiful notebook covers. I would love to be the recipient of one of those. Another thing that you can do with your scraps, aren't those just beautiful? And you can make them to fit any size. I like the little clasp that she's got on there. Looks like it's a ponytail elastic so that it'll come around and snap over a button or a loop. That looks really great. Beautiful fabrics. Okay, Linda West says, QuiltCam, I moved to Columbus, Ohio. Of quilters behind. So you are my quilting buddy now. I love reading your blog every day. Well, thank you. This is my 4th mystery quilt and I'm loving it. I've learned to use the Tri-Rex rulers when we did the Celtic solstice and love making the triangle and a square. Thanks for the wonderful quilts and instructions. You are so welcome. I'm so glad that you could tune in today, Linda. Patricia says razzle dazzle and there's an attachment. This must be her quilt. Need to get a better photo. I just love this quilt. It's a white razzle-dazzle in a snowstorm. Come on, you Pokey Joe. How can I get these? There it is. Oh, Patricia. That is absolutely beautiful. Maybe a biggie it just a little bit. So this is Razzle Dazzle as appeared in our May-June issue of Quiltmaker magazine this year. It will be a digital pattern at some point. Ask me when I have some time. No, it's going to be a digital download. But I love your border. I'm biggie sizing this so people can see your border. Her border picks up all of the colors in the blocks. That is just absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And the quilting texture is gorgeous too. So what are you going to bind it in? She's got it hanging here. Or is it bound? Maybe she bound it with the same fabric. I can't tell if it has binding. I don't think it has binding yet or not. Nope, I don't think it does. I don't think it does. But sometimes when they bind it with the same fabric as the border, I can't tell if there's binding or not in a photo. So this looks beautiful. Look at that sunny blue sky. Love it, Patricia. She's kind of done it's kind of like a medallion style. I don't know if you can tell that it's yellow and then orange and then blue and then green all the way around. Or orange and then blue and aqua. Beautiful. Love it. I'm going to save that one. Okay. And this is from, she says this is Shara. Come on. So she's working on her Wild and Goosies. There's her border units, and what a cute box. And her blocks in there. Oh, I gotta show you guys what I just picked up at Walmart. I can tell that that's in a I love that box. It's in a Quilty box, which those boxes are great from Quilty Box. I just got this organizer at Walmart, and I was thinking I was going to use it for quilting parts and pieces and bits and baubles. But look at this. Hang on just a second. Oops. Okay. It came apart, and I just dropped it on the floor. But this is a sliding. It's a sliding tray, so it's adjustable, and it actually has 3 pieces. I'd have to hold this flat on a board, I think, for you to see what I can do with it. But this is the other piece. And it comes, oh, come on. Does it go underneath or whatever? Maybe it goes on the other end. I can't get it up here. Okay, so anyway, there are these 3 pieces. And it's like for silverware, but it was at Walmart in the kitchen stuff. And I thought, how great for strips, for squares, or for tools, scissors, rotary cutters, pens, pencils, snips, seam ripper, whatever. But it's adjustable on a flat surface. I just have to think maybe that goes there. I think I bent it when I dropped it. But anyway, I love stuff like this. And I'm really attracted to organizer thingies. But why am I not any more organized? I don't know. But I will probably either use this on the tabletop with my stuff or put it in a drawer to help organize me. Now that I've dropped it and got it all bent out of heck, I can see where it bent. So it's bendable. We can fix it. We can fix it back. So that's my new thing. I love organizer things. And so this is a great way. If I turn it this way, does it go? There it go. It's a reused box from the Quilty Box that I give away on my blog once a month. So if you are the winner of the December Quilty Box, which should be coming fairly quickly, and we'll have a giveaway for that, then save your box. You can put your goodie parts in it. Okay. Wow, you girls are busy. Mavis says video frozen. Well, it's not frozen on my end, Mavis, so you need to refresh the page, okay, honey? Paula says, first mystery quilt, working on clue 2 today, finding another reason to love Fridays other than the fact it's the last work day of the week. Enjoy QuiltCam so much, I ordered my first books last week and can't wait for them to arrive like a child waiting for Christmas morning. Great feeling for this 68-year-old grandma. Thanks for all you do. All right. Well, that's wonderful. You girls are just busy. Other than Kevin, you've been our lone rooster today. Who's this one? It says RB. I'm joining you late today, but we'll watch from the beginning of your QuiltCam later. Even though it's chilly here in Portland, Oregon, I'm sitting here cozy in my sewing room and quilting this baby quilt. And she sends a picture of the color she's got in there. There's some lime greens and some turquoise and some red, and it's scrappy, and I love it. It's perfect for a baby. I think quilts should be interesting for babies to look at, and scrap quilts just fit the bill for me. Well, everybody, I'm about ready to lose my voice. Can you believe we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes already? So I think I'm going to turn the QuiltCam off and turn you back over to your families and whatever is going on into your evening time for your Sunday, or your afternoon time if you're in Australia. Or maybe it's early morning, or what time is it in Australia? Usually it's about, when I'm doing this late, when I do the 9 p.m. QuiltCam, it's like 11 a.m. there. So it must be the middle of the night. Anyway, this was really fun. I'm happy to know that it works. Tomorrow on the blog is our second Mystery Monday link up. And I love that you share your stuff in our Quiltville's open studio, but I would also love to encourage you to share in our Mystery Monday link up, because those posts stay forever. The stuff in open studio, couple of hours, it's down the feed. Couple of weeks, it's impossible to ever find. It just goes out with the tide. But the blog stays live. It has its own URL, so it's completely searchable by Google. And I would love to keep these photos of your progress available for anybody who wants to look you up. And it's also a great way to gain new followers and to make new friends. So if you have a blog, you can link up. If you have a Flickr account where you post photos to Flickr, you can link to a photo there. You can link to a photo on Instagram. The easiest way, if you don't have any of the above, but you have Pinterest, start a Pinterest folder and just name it En Provence, okay? Upload your progress photo to that folder and write a little paragraph about, this is my part clue, and I'm joining up in Bonnie's link up, blah, blah, blah. And then you can link that photo to from your Pinterest account in the link up. So Pinterest is most people have Pinterest. So that's probably the easiest way to link up. The only thing that I ask is that you also include a link back, which means the address of the link up for tomorrow. So you'll need to get that from the blog when I post it tomorrow, so that people, if they come to find you on my blog, that they can find you, but people who, and they can get back to see who else is sharing whatever else that they're sharing as well. So we need to complete the circle. You just can't, my blog can't just link to you without you linking back to me. And that way we keep it alive for those who want to go through the circle and see other people as well. So if you include a link back, the person who finds it on your site can see what everybody else is sharing as well. And that really keeps the wheel turning. Otherwise, you end up being the dead end street. Okay. Whatever you're up to tonight, if you're just getting busy sewing, you don't have to stop right now. Get some more progress going. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to fix myself for dinner, and then I'm going to trim up a bunch of these blocks, and I'm going to sit and watch some TV and depaper, and then I'll get sewing some more. What else can I tell you? Our next QuiltCam, I'm not sure when the next one will be, but this was so easy. I see us being able to do this a little bit more of an impromptu instead of having to find a set time to schedule it. Scheduling it with my life is not easy. I would like to do at least one more before we kick off the new year and I head off to Arizona early January for my first teaching gig of 2017. So just follow along on Facebook or Instagram, or follow along on the blog, and I will give you, well, as in today, at least an hour's heads up before we do some QuiltCam. I just want to thank you for spending this time with me. I had an absolute blast. I've made some progress. We've been able to share. I'm inspired by what you shared with me, and I look forward to doing this again in the future. I guess that's it for now. Next QuiltCam may be back at home, or it may be here again. We'll just have to wait and see. Enjoy your Sunday evening, everybody. Bye-bye.